Let's do it live on a Football Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, and we are blessed with royalty, the Hoff.
Pure joy being in studio.
Pure joy.
First time this season on the eve of the biggest opener in Browns history, at least in recent memory. Let's go!
It's like the Bachelor, the biggest finale in Bachelorette history every year.
Every year, this is it.
Yeah, this is it.
It's the same thing in football.
Hoff, we were talking about this earlier in the week. There is a WWE feel to this, and it's appropriate that you're going to the home of Ric Flair, I think, to be able to make sense of all of this. And it was added to yesterday with Mary Kay Cabot's story in Cleveland.com with some of the comments from Miles about his relationship with Baker and all of that. Yeah. Baker elected a captain, by the way, in Carolina, so that adds to it as well. It has all of that stuff that I think from even if you're not involved or don't feel connected to either one of these, obviously everybody listening out there and the three of us certainly are, but even if you're not, it adds so much intrigue to this, does it not? Emotionally, this one feels like it checks every box.
Yeah, the NFL, they know what they're doing, right, with the schedule. They knew the tea leaves were going to be read where Baker was probably going to end up one of two places, and if they had an opportunity to put the Browns against the Panthers in week 1, they were going to do it because this has all the intrigue of a heavyweight title bout, right? With the referendum, the great R word that the Z used at the beginning of the week with me when him and I were just shooting the breeze is so true because it is a referendum on everything that's happened in the last 9 months for almost both teams.
It sure is. And the time for talking is almost over. As we saw last night, team can put in a very dominant performance in week 1 and really kind of establish the tone for what their season will be. And I think for the Browns, it is a massive game. You don't want it's just one. It counts as just one. But I think it really is more than that, given the way the schedule lays out, given what is in front of the Browns, 11 games without Deshaun Watson. Starting the season in a positive manner is so important because once you go 0-1, which we know all too often, unfortunately, then you're just trying to get back to 500. Like, it would be great to have hey, let's get 2 games above 500 after 2 games. That seems like a fun thing to do. Why not try that out? So I think that I think it's a massive one.
Yeah, working with the great Michael Irvin for 4 years on Thursday Night Football. One of the things he always liked to throw out there was hope breeds effort. Like, without hope, you can't get the effort you want from the team. And I think the reason this game is so important, right, is this is the game that we get to find out what Jacoby Brissett looks like with his full complement of receivers, with a full game plan going against the defense. And as much as us fans don't know what to expect, the players don't know what to expect in that situation yet. And for him to play well and for this offense to play well in the first game is going to breed hope that's going to permeate throughout the roster. And that's going to breed great effort moving forward and a belief that, you know what, we don't get Deshaun until Houston later on in the season, but we can win with what we have right here.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter that Deshaun's not the starter for the first few weeks of the season. It's not just going to be play defense and run the ball. We can do this also on offense, and I think that's why it's so important. This is a confidence game.
It's critical. It's critical in the big picture. You think, look at these first 4 games. If you're going to be a team of relevance and consequence by the time you get to week 12, you've got to go 3-1 in this mix. I think 2-2 makes it hard considering what comes after this stretch. So this is certainly one of the games, if you looked at the beginning of the year, you said that better be a dub, right? And
Absolutely.
So it feels like it needs to be one. Yeah. So I think there's pressure with that. The other thing that's very real is, and I'm not sure how much you guys are paying attention to what people outside of this are thinking about. People don't think much of us. I'll tell you that right now. Not much at all. I've seen a lot of picking us last in the division. I've seen that by a lot of people. I've seen people say we're going 1-7 in our first 8. So it is how we feel about this team. The cuz. I mean, that was crazy. Did he ever respond?
Befuddling. Oh, yeah. I said, 1-7, are you crazy? He goes, what, you think they're going to win 0?
Well,
how do we take that bet? I want that bet.
I mean,
I love that.
It's a good line.
What a great place to be, though, for this team, right? You think about
totally.
It can be.
I think that's exactly where the Browns want to be, especially at this juncture with the franchise, the makeup that we have on this roster. To be the underdogs is a role that this young team can play, and I think they're going to play it really, really well.
Question.
Mr. Zagura.
If you were to say we have a team that has on our roster 5 Pro Bowlers from a year ago, multiple first-team All-Pros, a couple second-team All-Pros as well, you know, a team that's got, let's just throw names out, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Denzel Ward, John Johnson, Greg Newsome, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper. That's a team that isn't an afterthought in the NFL, right? And we are very much. I mean, I can't tell you how many things I've seen where different websites pick the games and they say unanimous Carolina's winning. Unanimous. Like nobody's giving us even a chance in this game, which to me is stupefying.
It's just incredible.
Our roster top to bottom is much better than theirs.
I think what has happened.
It's not even close.
I think there's two things. I think it's the Watson stuff, right? That there's a
Sure.
negativity surrounding us because of that, and so that's it's very easy to pick against us, and then because you already have
fun
the ill
too,
will.
I think, too. It's popular.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is you almost get tricked into, and we'll get into the game last night. You look around the AFC and you say, well, gosh, they don't have Mahomes, they don't have Allen, they don't have Burrow, there's 10 of them. Right? They don't have any of those guys. How are they going to do that with Jacoby? And Jacoby's a nice player, but he's not on that level everybody would acknowledge. But we don't have Watson. Because we don't have Watson until week 12, it's almost like we're being compared against the upper echelon in the AFC out of the gates. You don't have to be that, right? You don't have to be that to make the postseason. You got to be around 500 by the time Watson comes back in week 12. That's really what you need to be. 6-5, 5-6.
Totally.
Something
right
like that. That's where you need to be. So don't worry about comparing us to what Buffalo was last night, what Kansas City will be on Sunday or whenever they play.
We're
what
not.
Burrow's going to look like. We're not, but I think other people are
No, I'm
in
saying
that
we're
trap.
not that. Like I'm telling people, don't even like.
No, I know.
We're not that team.
But I think some people are. They're like, well, gosh, how can they compete? We don't have to do that. We just have to be in the middle by the time he gets back. And I think that's the trap that's happening a little bit with us.
One of the benefits of being in the AFC with all these good teams and all these good quarterbacks is they're going to beat each other up. Like, I don't see a lot of teams in the AFC that are going to be above 12 wins. Maybe a team, but I see a lot of teams that are going to be in that 10, 11 win range.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just a little bit over 500 is going to get you into the playoffs. And the name of the game in the NFL is get to the playoffs. And then it doesn't matter what your record is. More than any other professional sport, it's all about taking the regular season to get to the playoffs. And I think that's what you got to keep in mind if you're a fan of the Browns is like, they don't have to beat the Chargers. They don't have to beat the Chiefs. They don't have to beat the Bills. Like, that's not who they have to beat every single week. They just got to be able to get into the playoffs, win the games that you should win, and then split the games against the better upper echelon teams in the AFC. But that goes back to why this game is so important. Because it's one of those on the schedule that you have to win if you want to put yourself in position to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think people forget that, Jacoby Brissett was 2-0 last year with Miami, including a win over the Baltimore Ravens as the starting quarterback for them on that. Remember that Monday night game where they just went 0 every play against Lamar Jackson? And everyone's like, oh, maybe that works against him. You're right. We need to be a competent football team. We need to win the games that we should, and we need to find ways to win, a game or two here where we're going to be underdogs. But we're going to be favored in 3 of these first 4. And by the time we kick, this line keeps getting closer to
Where
being
are we now
a
on
pick
it?
'em. I think down to
1.5?
1.5 is the last I saw, which, we have an opportunity to, I think, make a statement. And it's not often that a team that it's a pick 'em now.
There you go.
So it's moved
So
on the road.
It's moved on the road.
And
so it's moved down 2.5 points in the course of the week.
Yeah.
And yet the Bozos are unanimously picking the Panthers. I mean, it makes no sense. And I think you have to the only way you can explain it is say that the people that are saying this are biased against the Browns for all those things that you mentioned.
I think it's just permeated the NFL consciousness. I think that because if you're right, to Z's point earlier, take quarterback out of it. And we did this even when we had Baker. Take quarterback out of it, and you were drafting skill position players. We may have had the best at one point when we had a healthy Odell, healthy Jarvis still in his prime, Chubb, all of that, Hooper. Well, you got everything else. You just and so Jacoby Brissett just has to do what Case Keenum did last year on Thursday night.
And he's got a better arm.
And he's got a better arm
and a bigger body.
Right. So he's just got to be just no turnovers.
Yep.
Play smart, take what they give you,
Yep.
and rely on 2 running backs, and really you have 4 of them, but rely on the 2 bigs to just battering ram people. And the interesting thing is because of how far the league has shifted away from that, it's almost like we're going to be the anomaly.
Yeah, we're like the Navy.
Or like how Tennessee was.
Yeah.
With Derrick Henry at his best. Like all of a sudden you got to deal with them, a little bit like Lamar, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is different. Now they're going to run it 35 times? Mm-hmm. We're not used to this. So that's kind of the roadmap.
I couldn't agree more. The roadmap is the same. It's ironic. The roadmap's the same as it's been the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's basically the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
Play smart with football, get the lead, and then pound them into oblivion and play great defense on the other side. And I would argue that our defense this year is the best that it's been in that 3-year period. So it's a formula that absolutely can work, and I believe that it will work. And I think we saw, we'll talk about last night's game in a second, where you're welcome, by the way. Remember.
How many gifts do you want to give? So many gifts.
I would, if I was standing, I would take a bow.
All these college tuitions, just putting kids through college.
That's all
private schools
for the people.
Private schools. 5 years of this. We've been doing this for 5 years, just putting kids through school.
Last year we were 70 games over 500. We're already a game over 500.
Your kid wants to go to Kenyon? Listen to the show. We'll send him there on us.
That's right.
That is a random pull.
That was random.
I think it's one of the highest. I think it's one of the highest.
Is it really?
It is.
Good knowledge.
I've never even heard of it. I like that.
I've never heard of it, but it sounds expensive.
That's where all 3 of your boys will go. It'll be great.
Oh, yeah. It's in Mount Vernon, right? Somewhere around there?
Yeah.
Central Ohio? Yeah. I think it's I think it's the most expensive or one of the most expensive. But yeah. There you go. But yes, so good job out of that. Pepperdine would be better view there for sure.
View, yeah.
Boulder, pretty good for a view as well.
Not bad.
In terms of who will be here on Sunday by the time we play down in Carolina against the Panthers, Grady Williams officially ruled out. So bad trend there with him where it just feels like he cannot start a season healthy and play it healthy, banged up a lot. And so he is out this week for the opener. Questionable is Conklin, Hubbard, and Michael Woods.
All right, so my guess here, and again, these are just guesses, but I'm guessing that we will see MJ Emerson start alongside Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward in nickel situations when Greg kicks inside. Now, the other way they could do it is keep Denzel and Greg outside and bring A.J. Green, who's gotten some work in the slot. But my hunch is that MJ Emerson is going to get a lot of an opportunity here in this game, and I think he's a good matchup for Robbie Anderson. And Hoff, we were talking about that earlier, Greedy and Robbie Anderson, that's a good battle. And Anderson coming off a career low, 519 yards, but still 10 touchdowns and more than 40 yards since he came in the league second most. That's their vertical threat. That's the one guy that we have to pay attention to, and I think we've got some good size and length and speed in MJ Emerson to be able to do that. And then my other guess would be that Herb Miller will be activated off of the practice squad and will be the 5th corner for this game. And then he's also a great special teams player, so that'll be good for Mike Prefer and company. Oh, here he comes. It's kind of like
Winovich.
Mr. Winovich.
Just come on in.
The Hoff is already a big fan. He's like, I'd like to talk to this guy. Yeah.
One conversation with him, I realized that we could share a few beers together and talk really, really dark and deep down the rabbit hole of weird things.
Weird things in this world. That's right.
I mean, he's cold shower guys, and that
cold shower guy.
He's big Wim Hof. Wim Hof. Absolutely.
Wim Hof.
Chase Winovich will join us coming up next. We're off and running on a Football Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
There it is. I needed to hold it.
Do you have a Social Security?
You guys are down.
Has been denied, or a workers' compensation claim from a work-related injury. Call the Social Security, Disability, or Workers' Compensation Lawyers at Elk & Elk. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries.
Hey, Browns fans, do you want free, delicious curly fries or crinkle fries from Arby's? Well, anytime the Browns get an interception, Browns fans in Cleveland get a free small curly fry or crinkle fry ordered the next day at Arby's. The ball got picked off! All you need to do to score your free fries is mention the interception at your local Cleveland area Arby's restaurant. Free Arby's curly or crinkle fries and Cleveland Browns interceptions are things you don't want to miss. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/interception to learn more.
Limit 1 for gas, no purchase necessary. Only participating Cleveland locations.
Arby's, we have the meats.
We're here for all pro edge rushers, for weekend warriors, for garage cleaner outers. We're University Hospitals, the official healthcare partner of the Cleveland Browns, and your hometown team of experts for sports medicine, heart and vascular, everyday care, and more. And we're here to keep you at your quarterback rushing. Here we go cheering. Fire up the grill because it's game time best. We're University Hospitals, and we're here for you.
From dinner with the crew to an easy evening on the couch, Tito's Handmade Vodka makes for the perfect pair to any weekday plans. Stock up on your must-have mixers and go-to garnishes, and just add Tito's for a cocktail hour that's best served any day of the week. Tito's Handmade Vodka is distilled from corn and is naturally gluten-free. Find recipes and more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Browns fans, get ready for game day at the Browns VIP Tailgate. Brought to you by BullseyeEventGroup.com. The VIP Tailgate starts 3 hours prior to kickoff before every home game. It's right next to First Energy Stadium inside the Great Lakes Science Center. This tailgate is all ages and features a premium buffet by Food Network chefs Aaron May and Rocco Whalen and a premium open bar for 3 hours. Start Browns games right. Get your Browns VIP Tailgate tickets today at BullseyeEventGroup.com.
Going to school every day is now more important than ever.
Even if your child is learning remotely.
Missing just 2 days a month reduces the chances of graduating high school by 89%. The Cleveland Browns Foundation is a founding
Back in 30.
Game Network. Let's cut Ohio's chronic absenteeism rate in half. Let's raise awareness, supply academic necessities, and fund engagement opportunities for students to thrive, like athletic fields, mentorship programs, and parent communication tools. The network partners with 16 Ohio school districts, impacting more than 110,000 students. Take action. Visit sitgnetwork.org.
Every drive, every down, every client, every day. We keep fighting, no matter what gets in our way. Alkindel, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns.
You guys ready?
Give us 1 second here.
Okay.
Bo is ready. We're good.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850.
You're up.
Cleveland.
And the Bath Authority gives you the bathroom of your dreams. Why not transform your current bath into a custom bath with a spa-like feel to it in about a day? Let the Bath Authority make it a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is Cleveland's premier bath and shower remodeler with expert factory-trained installers. Give them a call now. You get $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. That number is 216-220-8399 or go to thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. The largest selection of bath projects, all made right here in America. Superior products, expert installers at the Bath Authority, 216-220-8399 on a Football Friday of Cleveland Browns Daily. The cavalcade of stars continues. The Hoff is here. Z and I are here every day. Chase Winovich in studio as well. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah,
here we
you
go.
For having me on.
Go time, right?
It's go time. Let's go.
What's the mood been like this week? I mean, a long camp. I know you dealt with injury, but to finally get to a game week.
I think the guys are just ready to play. Finally be out there where it actually counts.
How about this Croatian-Serbian relations right now? All-time high between the two of us.
You've got
you gotta love
you
this.
got all
Never
Big
been
Ten
better.
here too. I mean, these are Big Ten monsters.
Luminaries.
So you talk about Michigan and Wisconsin.
Sure,
I mean, that's
sure,
there
sure.
too. Sure.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff together. All right, for you personally, because you're a guy who likes to get into, I think, the psyche and the psychosis of the game and your preparation. What have you been focusing on this week, and what are you hoping to build to a crescendo that you unleash on Sunday?
I'd say I'm just looking at, obviously, which moves are going to be most effective, but ultimately it comes down to understanding the tackles and understanding myself. And, that's what it is.
What do you love about kind of that film study of the tackles and the guys you're going to get to go against?
I'd say that everything that you see on film, there's little intricacies and nuances that it's like maybe somebody didn't necessarily beat them with, but, having the vision of what they and how they react to certain moves. It's like, okay, I know that I can get this move, especially in a game when you can go full speed and you just got to feel for it. So like that's probably what I'm most excited about, and that's what I've been focusing on.
Yes.
One of the challenges of playing the opener, especially now when very few starters actually play in the preseason, is trying to figure out, okay, especially if this guy's a rookie. Like I've seen what he did in preseason, but how can I extrapolate upon that and predict what I'm going to see in actually real games in week one?
Yeah, I totally agree. There is definitely it's definitely a challenge. There's different nuances, I think, for every single individual player according to their circumstances. If you're a starter and maybe haven't played in as many games, obviously it's like that full speed thing, which I don't think is an issue for us, especially for Miles, because he's a beast. But yeah, when you're eyeing up tackles and stuff, especially when they're rookies, there's as you know, there's challenges with that.
So their left tackle, Ike Ekwonu, is a rookie. So we've got 3 games in the preseason that you can watch on him. But Were you guys going back and actually watching stuff on him when he was in college to try to maybe pick up on some weaknesses or ways that you could possibly attack him?
Yeah, we go back. We go back to college, pull up some of those clips as well. But ultimately, it's like according to like how they teach him to set is ultimately what's most important. Like where is he at now? Like what's the version of him that we're going to get, and like how do we anticipate him playing against us? So all that stuff matters and factors in there, especially when you're trying to play, as you know, like play fast. I think that's a big part of it is the state of mind, is the consciousness that you go out there and play with. You can't play scared. You can't play, like two in your thoughts, two in your head. You got to find that balance between like knowing what your responsibility is and just going, just letting it rip.
Chase, so many familiar faces on this defense. You're one of the new guys, but if you look around, it's a lot of guys who were here a year ago. This group feels to me, watching in camp, like you guys kind of know what's going to be required of you, that this is going to be some heavy lifting for the defense here the start to this season as the offense finds its way a little bit. Do you sense that in terms of the confidence that this defense has to kind of unleash and be an attacking defense? I feel like it's going to be required here early.
Do I sense the confidence and stuff?
And the willingness to attack. It almost feels like this defense has just you wait till you get a load of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm sure I got to, obviously choose my words carefully.
Sure.
But, yeah, no, I think we're definitely excited. I think that's the best word that is the safest word to use in this situation.
Well, I just think of the playmakers that are there. I mean, I just think of the length that you have in the secondary, the guys who can fly at linebacker, the defense. It's an impressive group. And you've been other places, so you came into this one new. Do you look around at times?
You look around the league as well. I mean,
sure.
Look at certain positions that we have, and it's like if you take those positions or those players and put them elsewhere, it's like we're pretty talented, especially at certain positions. But I just think across the board, it's our running back room, for example. It's like elite. Elite.
The best.
The best. Exactly. You said it. And so it's like you look at our defensive line room. It's like we got some guys. We do. And but ultimately it comes down to what we do in the game and how it shakes up and shakes out in terms of like which packages, which people, all that stuff is part of what makes football fun, because it's like it can be a lot. Joe's been he's the definition of consistency in terms of like going out there every single week, not only dominating but just first playing.
Yeah.
Where it's like with us, on the D line, it's like there's still like this. There's so much competition, so much competitiveness just across the board that it's like guys, I feel like they got to go out there and just attack. Like it's there's a hunger to that.
Yeah.
And I think like when you have that and you have the talent that comes with it, fun things happen, and that's the plan.
How's it been for you transitioning to being, in New England? And you guys are multiple front, but typically if you're rushing the passer, were you in a 2-point and you're standing kind of as an outside backer, to being now a 4-3 end?
Yeah. I'd say there's less to worry about, if you don't have to drop. And I'd say there's certain things, the communication and stuff that is so far has been a lot cleaner here in Cleveland. But it's going to be fun. I like going out of a 3-point. I mean, I'm comfortable with either, but 3-point is fun, just like being able to tee off. And the other thing is I think it's Joe may be able to testify to this, switching your feet up in terms of which foot is back and messing with their timing. I think it's a little easier and a little harder for them to pick up when you're in a 3-point versus a 2-point.
One thing I always thought that was challenging for stand-up defensive end outside linebackers was getting into a rhythm with your rush, because a lot of times, like when you were playing in New England, you're lined up over the tackle, but you're responsible for the flat, and you're dropping instead of rushing the passer on a third down. So it's difficult to get into that rhythm of, all right, I'm getting after the quarterback. I'm setting this offensive tackle up with a couple things on first and second down, or maybe in the first and second quarter, so that I can beat him in the third quarter with something when he starts leaning and trying to take away maybe my upfield move so I can get back to the inside. Do you find that you have so far embraced and enjoyed being able to maybe put your hand in the dirt and get more consistent rushes against the guys to start getting a feel for him and being able to set him up early to go beat him later in the game?
1,000%. Short of Von Miller, I'd say just his explosive nature, I'd say TJ Watt is probably one of the best at like his get off. His get off is elite. And not only that, but his ability to take every inch of the ball. Like if you look at any from like the sideline cam of him, it's like his ability to get like as close as possible, borderline. Like you look at his sack against Jacksonville in the preseason, it's like you can make a case that like he's very close to being offsides, like in that neutral zone. But it's like that's what like those are the inches. It's like his ability to get around the edge. It's like just being able to learn and observe other people and how they do it and how they take advantage of those things, and then couple it in with the footwork, and then your game plan against them, and package it all up together is what makes the intricacies of this position really exciting for me, and something that I definitely pay attention to.
I know I played for a lot of New England guys, and so
Yeah.
I know that Bill says you're not allowed to talk about anybody but yourself. But talk
Sure.
about Myles Garrett for a second, because when I was in my last year in the NFL, he was a rookie. And one of the things that I worked with him on, especially after I got hurt and I had a lot more time on my hands, was his get off. Because I told him, I said, your ability to get ahead of where the tackle is in your rush in perspective to where you are to the tackle to the quarterback is so important, because it puts that offensive tackle in a panicked mindset. And now you're breaking down his technique with just where you are as opposed to where you could be if you're slower off the ball. So what have you seen from him as far as his ability to take up all that ball and to get off on the snap and find those little tips of where I need to put my eyes to be able to trigger my ability to go when the ball is snapped, so I can get ahead of that guy, so I can get him to start breaking down his technique, leaning to the outside and set him back up with a bull rush or just something to the inside?
Right. I'd say Myles does a couple things really well, and he does a lot of things really well. Let me clarify that.
And he's a freak of nature.
And he's a freak of nature, which definitely helps. Just going on a quick Myles rant, I'd say, not rant, but hype up sesh. Hype up sesh. I always look to hype up my guys. That's what
he
it's
needs
about.
it. No one's talking.
Yeah, no one talks about him. But
Very
yeah,
under the radar.
I've never seen somebody so dominant in practice, and just like what he does. It's really.
You got to sit him down sometimes
really
so the offense can function.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah. Well, against Philly, they were like, "Get him out! We gotta get something going here. We can't do it if he's gonna keep wrecking things."
Yeah, but no, I think he's really special because he's so strong, and so they probably look at his arms and they're like, "Yo, this guy's gonna power us." They gotta sit him down. But his ability is to, I think, a way that can be used to describe him is he's kind of like a cat in his movement, where it's like the ability for him to turn his shoulders and not only that, but also run the edge is really interesting. It's like his feet never stop, but it's just like a fluid motion, and he has so much conviction that he can get to that edge that he does it. And it's like by the time he does it, it's too late. By the time he goes for it, it's like he's already in a position, and it's like you combine that with the fact that, like you said, most of the times you got to set it up. So it's like you're going power, but it's almost like they already respect that so much that they know that if they're running out of there, it's like he's gonna read that, and he's just gonna put his hand right on their inside plate and just throw them by. So yeah, there's a lot to it.
So I did an event last night with the Haslams, and somebody in the crowd asked, what makes Myles special? And I always said that his ankle mobility and his ability to run at full speed while turning the corner, like the old L drill. I've never seen anybody who can run so low at full speed and turn. He could, I swear he could run a 40 on a curve just as fast as he could run a 40 straight, which is remarkable, because when you think about what makes a good pass rusher, it's how quickly can you turn that corner and get to where the quarterback is. Yeah. And when you look at his shin angle, I think it's probably the best in the NFL. And what I mean by shin angles, if you look at where the turf is to where your shin is when you're turning the corner, his is the sharpest in the NFL, because his shins are actually like this, which the force that you're creating from the ground is parallel to whatever that shin angle is. So his ankles bend, and he's running with his shins like this, which means as he's turning the corner, he's putting all of his energy towards where the quarterback is, where a lot of guys, they can't do that. Their energy is just being wasted going up into space. And it's just fun watching him, when you put your biomechanics mind on and just seeing how his body is so different than everybody else's. Obviously, when you see him on the front page of the paper and when he's doing his interviews shirtless, always, you're like, okay, obviously, he's a freak. But then when you watch him actually play the game, it's just special, because he's certainly one of a kind.
Yeah, he really is. He is very special in that way. We were saying in the meeting yesterday, there was a play, And somebody had commented, they're like, wow, he's got good knees. That's yeah, he's got good knees. Obviously,
good
knock
knees,
on wood.
good genes,
yeah,
good ankles.
He's got a lot of things. He said, like, just like the knee strength to be able to like support him in that position. That's what he was alluding to.
You know, we do a lot of, and we'll see if we do that this year. But last year, I can say definitively, we did a lot of, in obviously passing situations, more Miles, Clowney, and then last year was Tack McKinley was our third rusher. When you think about going out there with Miles and Clowney, that's got to be exciting. You know that immediately they're looking, where are those guys? And so now you're going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities to go do what you did. And your guys got 11 sacks in your first 2 leagues in the years in the league. You know how to get to the quarterback as well.
Exactly. And it's like there's so many lessons and things I've learned about pass rushing that it's like it's one thing to do it in practice, but it's even for me, I've always been a gamer, and to have the opportunity to do it along those guys and whoever else may be in the game is something that I've been dreaming about and praying for. And so now that it's here, now that I've managed to get my body in a position, you know, where it's healthy and able to play and compete, I'm just fired up, man. Let's go.
Chase, I'll get you out of here on this one. If you think about what this defense was at the start of the camp, and you guys you're molding this clay, right, and you hope it gets to where it needs to be, did you get where you needed to be by the time it was done, as we hear on a Friday with the opener on Sunday? And what is the personality of this defense as we open this season?
I think we'll have to see. I think it's a long season, first and foremost. I think that you know, the words that I can use to describe it are different, because it's like we haven't we've been tested in the sense that there's a lot of veterans and a lot of maybe experience, but it's like the personality, I think, is ultimately something that's going to be experienced rather than words to use that I can try to describe it. But it's going to be fun. We got a lot of different packages in. We got a lot of different adjustments and cool looks that I think are going to be really fun. Let's say it that way. A lot of fun.
We're banking on it.
Joe Woods and the team, they're in there crafting,
cooking some things up.
Go.
I like stuff.
In the lab.
Always in the lab. Always great seeing you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by.
Great seeing you guys.
Joining us here in studio. You'll hear from Coach Stefanski coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. On Demand is remodeled by the Bath Authority, and it's been free for the entire month of August. If you like what you saw, read, and heard, it's time to subscribe for this season on thelandondemand.com. Watch your favorite shows, the new HD quality video. Follow the season with Tony Grossi's columns, the Daily Grossi podcast, and the 100 Years Pod. Hear your favorite shows on demand without commercial interruptions. Go to thelandondemand.com and subscribe today. And now here is Z, one-on-one with Coach from the Kevin Stefanski Show.
Very happy now to be joined by the head coach.
You guys are down.
Coach, it's finally here. It is finally week one. How are you feeling, and is this something in your mind's been a long time coming?
It's always a long time coming. The offseason is you get a lot of work done. There's parts of the offseason that you enjoy, the scouting part of it, the OTAs and that type of thing. But for us, for the coaches, for the players, they want to compete. They want to play these games. So you always circle game one because it's really the next game for a long time. So I know the guys are excited about it.
All right, for you, you love to get in there, and I know you've got, Chad and AVP and Drew and Coach Callahan and Stump to get in the lab and cook up a game plan, which is something you haven't got to do for quite some time. How fun has that been?
Yeah, we all enjoy that. That's when you get in the office and you turn the tape on and you really spend time with you're looking at an opponent. You're trying to find out where they might be susceptible. You're trying to look at yourself and find out where your strengths are. So it's always a puzzle. I think the guys do a great job putting those game plans together, really on both sides of the ball, just having a collaborative process. And we've been able to work that process for 3 years now, so feel good about where we are.
What's it been like designing and working with Jacoby on your first game plan together?
Yeah, it's been really good. Very good dialogue, very good conversation, some extra meetings with him, just making sure what we're doing are things that he's comfortable with. That's ultimately, there's 1,000 plays you can run, but I want to make sure that the quarterback's comfortable with them. So it's definitely a really good dialogue with him, making sure that there's concepts that he has plenty of reps on, sees it clearly, because like I said, there's things that draw up on the board and they look like they're good, but if the quarterback's not comfortable with them, there's plenty of other stuff.
All right, let's start with this Carolina Panthers team. Defensively, for our listeners, give them a quick little education. What kind of a front are we looking at? What kind of a defense do they like to play?
Yeah, very aggressive. So Phil Snow's the defensive coordinator, has been with Coach Rule, I think, since Temple days, so for a long time. Aggressive front, really playmakers at every level of the defense. Up front, it starts with number 53, Burns, Derek Brown inside, the big defensive tackle. So really good up front. They have linebackers that can run, and then they have some really good guys on the back end. Chin, the safety, is really big and physical. They have 3 corners that can really cover. Really, I'd say 4 corners because I think they have a really good nickel as well. So a bunch of guys, and with all of that, they play a bunch of defense. They'll get in the base, will be 5 on the line of scrimmage. They'll get into nickel, which can be a 4 down front, can be another 5 on the line of scrimmage. They have dime. They play multiple coverages. They pressure you from every direction. So it's a lot of defense, and that's why we really got to be about our business when you're playing a defense like that.
Yes, I was looking at the numbers last year, 37% blitz rate, which was 4th most in the league, 40% on first downs, which is one of the top figures in the league as well. And just watching their preseason, they were rolling out a lot of kind of exotic stuff, even in a preseason game. How do you prepare for a team where they are going to bring extra rushers?
Yeah, you got to be good about your rules. You got to really understand and hone in as a quarterback, a line, a running back, hone in on the rules. And then you also got to realize in week one, you can't block up a season's worth of pressures. So you're going into week one, you're watching everything they did over the course of 17 games. Really, as long as you're sound in your plan, we have a plan going into it. You want to make sure that you just make the right decisions at each level, really play call, quarterback, running back. IDing is so important in this game, but ultimately it's our job to go play fast and dictate the tempo to the defense.
All right, and with that all being said, before we turn the page to our defense, their offense, how's the offense look getting back into it and getting into that normal, week routine to get ready for a game?
Yeah, I think the guys have done a really nice job, Nathan. There's so much information that is thrown at you in a given week. When you think about Wednesday, you got first and second down and all the pass and run and protection that goes with that. You shift gear to Thursday, you're into what we call our money downs, 3rd and 4th down, short yardage, goal line tomorrow in the red zone. 2-minute. So there's just a lot of information. I think the guys have done a nice job of filling that bucket up. We always talk about week in and week out, you fill that bucket up with everything you got. So you get all this information, you go play the game, then you pour it back out and you do the same thing again. So I think the guys are doing a nice job of taking in all this information, studying and understanding that in order to do your job, you got to know your job.
Do you already know what the first play call is going to be?
No, not yet. That's work through that. It's early yet. Want to definitely talk to Jacoby, see his comfort level, the staff talk about their comfort level with runs and passes. So not there yet.
All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball, and for that, let's preview their offense. Obviously, we know their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. They get Christian McCaffrey back, very talented and productive receiver in DJ Moore, and they've kind of tried to overhaul their offensive line. What have you seen from them, and what do you expect with Ben McAdoo calling the plays?
Yeah, I think you got to expect a little bit of the unexpected with Coach McAdoo, not having called plays in a couple years. So what you do is, obviously, you watch the preseason, then you go back and you watch some of the things that he did in New York. Obviously, some of the things that they did in Green Bay all those years with Aaron Rodgers. He was in Jacksonville, so you can peek at some of the things that they did in Jacksonville. But in the end, what you really need to do is stay true to yourself on defense and then see where the game goes. Are they going to come out and play, 4 wide receivers, or are they going to try and pound it? We really have to be prepared to defend all types of attacks. And then once you get a feel for the game, you can play it. But really good players really at every position, bringing in some new players, drafting a rookie tackle who's really talented. So I think very highly of Coach McAdoo. I think very highly of this offensive attack.
From 2018 till now, Christian McCaffrey averages 6.5 catches a game. That's fifth most of anybody in the league, and yet he is a running back. How does that affect when you kind of plan and scheme against a team that has that kind of a dual threat?
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of his game is versatility, and that's been his game since he came into this league. He did it back at Stanford. You can hand him a downhill gap scheme run. You can line him up at wide receiver, run every single route under the sun. He can run routes from the slot. He can run routes from the backfield. So there really isn't anything that Christian McCaffrey can't do. He's healthy, didn't play in the preseason, so we're well aware of him. I'm not naive enough to think that he won't make plays because he's a great player. He's going to make some plays, but we have to be aware of
30 seconds
and try and take him out of the game as much as you can.
How has DJ Moore been so consistently productive with a lot of chaos at quarterback and every year?
Last question here.
Yeah, just really good football player. Very good with the ball in his hands. Another guy that has versatility where you can line him up. You see the whole route tree from him as well. Just such a really good football player. Once the ball's in his hands, he's a threat.
All right, good stuff out of Z right there with Coach from the Coach's Show last night. We had Chase come in here right away, so in addition to that, we had so much to get to off the top of the show. We have not had a chance to react to what we saw last night, which was as comprehensive of a whipping of a defending Super Bowl champion maybe that you've ever seen. Gibby's not letting you talk. Now you're up. Try now.
That's what happens when you take victory laps unnecessarily.
No, that's called you screwed up right there and are coming up with a witty reason for why I did.
I don't know who's on what mic. I'm just kind of.
You built the studio, Gibby.
I'm only on the mic I'm on every single day.
No, sometimes you're over there.
To interview Coach.
No, but on this show, 1 to 3.
He's there, I'm here.
That's the way it goes.
If you had messed up Bo's mic,
perhaps
we could see a little something there.
Yeah. All right. So you watching this game last night?
Yes, I was.
There's about 1 million things that jump out, but I just wanted to pose this to you guys out of the gates.
Please.
Are the Bills better than people think, and people think a lot of them? They're the overwhelming pick to win the Super Bowl. Or the Rams less than what we thought they were capable of? Mr. Z.
Yes. So the Bills with Von Miller and their ability to they didn't blitz once. They had 7 sacks. So now that line that they have where they're rotating Rousseau and Boogie Basham and Von, and they've got
Ed Oliver
from the trusty Steed, and Phillips is back and had that beautiful spin move sack. They are a team that can play coverage. And when you've got Matt Milano, who can go sideline to sideline, is an excellent linebacker. You've got Poyer and Hyde, and I'm sure sometimes you scratch your head and be like, Jordan Poyer was on our team. Right. One of my pet cats. It's documented from the 2014 training camp. He was one of my pet cats. I said he was a safety who covers like a corner. Turns out that is a valuable thing in the NFL nowadays. But he was gone after that brutal hit in Tennessee where they ruptured his innards, and now he's a premier. But you have him and Hyde who can cover. They drafted Elam, but these 2 young corners, their DB coach is obviously very good, played great last night. I think one was a 7th-round pick, one was a 6th-round pick. Tre'Davious White will be back, so you're going to add that to the mix. It looked like their ability to impose their will at the line of scrimmage offensively was very impressive to me. And then you've got Allen and you've got a bevy of – Jason Crowder was a great under-the-radar pickup for them. They are better than we thought, and they were the darlings. And by the way, in that all blue with the white lid, I think they look spectacular, if I do say so myself. Yeah. And then the Rams, because of 2 subtractions, are a fundamentally different football team right now. Subtraction number 1 is Odell Beckham Jr. on offense. They have nobody to open it up.
Well, Robert Woods before that, too.
And he's still a different guy. Allen Robinson, I think, in my mind, is supposed to be what Robert Woods was to them. Super reliable in the mid-game, but he doesn't run the jet sweeps, and he doesn't do a lot of the things as a blocker that Robert Woods does. So losing him was still a loss. Allen Robinson is a contested catch, very good receiver whose best days are in the rearview mirror. They have nobody that threatens you vertically. And it's amazing that given that fact, Cooper Kupp still is open by 10 yards on every play, even though he's quadruple teamed. He's just an insane route runner.
Van Jefferson didn't play last night.
Van Jefferson is the
Who's
guy
that would do that, theoretically.
Yeah. But, I mean, Odell was on his way to being MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He changed that team once he arrived in the threat of Odell. And while Van Jefferson's going to have to beat teams deep multiple times before teams are like, okay, maybe we have to game plan for Van Jefferson. And maybe he will do that. But you go back to where the Rams were most effective, Odell last year, and before that they had Brandon Cooks, who allowed space for Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp to operate. So they don't have that guy. And I think that's a big problem. Whitworth to Noteboom, massive downgrade. Austin Corbett, former Brown, gone. And last year, he was one of the best pass-protecting guards in the league. So their line is now an issue. They don't have anybody that scares you vertically, so they're going to have to operate within a restricted field.
Yep.
And then defensively, we were talking about the games that they were able to run last year because you had Donald and Vaughn together on opposite sides of the field that forced – you're doubling one of them. You can't double both of them, most likely. They don't have that anymore. Leonard Floyd was invisible last night. I don't even know the name of the other edge rusher. And so – defensively, they're different. And look, I like Troy Hill. He got a pick. Troy Hill was the guy who was competing for us to start as a slot, and they're asking him now to start on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
They're
natural.
not the same defense that they used to be, and they are not the same pass rushers that they used to be, and they're not the same offense that they used to be. So I think that to me, that was much more eye-opening about the Rams than it was about the Bills.
That's how I came away with it too, Hoff.
It's amazing on the defensive line when you lose one of those pass rushers like a Von Miller, how it makes everybody so much worse. Just the same way as when you bring Jadeveon Clowney into our lineup, it changes the dynamic of everybody else because not only we're talking about the 2-on-1s, the double teams, but it changes your 3-on-2s and where you can go with those when you've got 2 studs on either side of the ball. That's why I'm so happy that we have Jadeveon Clowney back because he just makes Miles so much better. Just his presence out there, knowing where some of those double teams and those 3-on-2s are going to go, it makes you more predictable on offense, which makes the defense be able to dictate what they want to do to you because they can basically predict what you're going to do in your protections to try to stop where your war horses are.
And here's the other thing. If you run 18 times for 52 yards against a team that plays exclusively nickel, they do not come out of nickel, that means you have problems up front. And the fact that your quarterback got sacked 7 times without one blitz means you have problems up front. And Stafford's not an extend-the-play guy.
Akers had 3 attempts.
He was persona non grata.
Obviously, they're not big fans of him. The comment you mentioned about Allen Robinson, when I thought about that, you're right, contested catch guy, doesn't feel like Stafford trusts. Because when you're talking contested catch, that means you got to trust him.
Throw it up.
Because you want to throw it up to him and say, well, I'm betting on this guy. It doesn't look like that trust is developed there. Another thing that was talked about a lot this summer and then kind of downplayed as we got into Camp Hoff was Stafford's elbow and all of the stuff that he went through with that. And I'm watching last night, and I'm going, this looks different from the start to last year and even at the end of last year a little bit. It didn't feel like the same Matt Stafford, who usually has some of the best arm talent in the league.
Yeah, and even if he's going out there last night and throwing with the same velocity and zip, he didn't have an opportunity to build trust with those receivers that are new this year during training camp because he was being held out. He was limited, and maybe he wasn't throwing the same ball 2 weeks ago that he is right now. And so it delays the process of building that trust with the receiver group, where those guys are going to be, what the timing is going to look like within that offense. So it almost becomes like a little bit like the preseason right now, assuming his arm is back to where it was last season.
I felt, and you've watched a ton of Matt Stafford, we all have, I felt like, I don't know the right way to say this, I felt like his elbow at his release point was lower yesterday than I'm used to. Like he was almost throwing it kind of in here as opposed to out here.
There's no question that it was varied from what we saw last year.
And he was sailing it as a result. And he was also doing, and I know he had that awesome no-look pass. He tried that like 5 times, and 2 of them ended up being picks because he was high. So like
oopsies.
It just felt like he was releasing it lower is the only way that I described, closer to his shoulder than I remember him releasing the football.
Yeah, it's just like your cornhole delivery, right? If you drop that elbow, it's going to lead to wild inconsistencies. You're either going to sail them or you're going to throw them in the dirt because the time frame, the window for you to release the ball to hit an accurate pass is shorter when you drop that elbow versus when it's up. I know you guys know this, of course, but when it's up here, all-state quarterback over here telling me you have a much greater margin of error of when to release that to still hit the ball accurately versus when you drop it. It's like a catapult. If you turn up the speed big time, it shortens the amount of time that you have to be able to release it to still hit the same spot.
I'm watching that thing last night, and yesterday we did the picks yesterday. I have Kansas City winning the AFC. I'm still fine with it. It's fine. It's one game. But you watch them yesterday, and you watch what happened last year in the AFC playoffs, and this is why you go get Deshaun Watson, because if you don't have that type of player, you don't beat those teams. I mean, my God, he had his first incompletion was an interception. They didn't punt.
Not his fault.
Not his. Oh, I know. Not his. It was like Madden. A lot of people tweeted us about that. Like every play was either a touchdown, a completion, or an interception.
Yeah,
and that's literally what it was to start the game, and that's how the Madden game is played. Like maybe Madden's right. Who knows? But I just admire what they've done with him and for him. To draft, because people say, oh, this circumstance, this paratroop him in there. No, this is the perfect spot. They drafted him. They gave him one offensive language for his entire career. And even now with Dorsey, they're running the same stuff. It might even be more for him than it was even with Daboll before. But then the other part of it is, so you have the same thing. And then they say, well, what do you need? Well, we need a speed guy who's a precise route runner who can get deep, take the top off. Stephon Diggs, let's go get him. They do it. Immediate. This Gabe Davis kid out of nowhere, they elevate him. Everything they do fits Allen. That's rare, man. Look at the quarterbacks taking the top 10 the last 5-6 years. How many have been put in that type of spot?
So we've talked a lot about Buffalo and what they're doing well right now, what they did well to build that roster. But my question to you guys is, after watching that game last night, what are the weaknesses? What are the concerns that you would still have if you were a Buffalo Bills fan and you were watching what you saw last night, which was the complete dismantling and domination of the defending Super Bowl champions on the road?
Are we 13 seconds better than we were a year ago? That's it.
Yeah. Corner early in the season is still going to be something you're going to be concerned about. You know, do they have a great ground game? I don't know. People were like, oh, they need a running back.
Nah.
Then they popped Singletary stats up there. He ran for almost 900 yards at 4.6 yards a carry. That feels awful efficient to me.
Allen's going to run for 600.
Okay, here's what I'm concerned about. You're up 31-10, and you're running him 12 yards left, and he's like taking on 3 tackles. No, the game's over. At this point, he doesn't run anymore. Like, he does not take hits anymore. Game's over.
Agreed.
That's my concern. That coming out of that, your quarterback, who is your team, with him, Super Bowl. Without him,
and
not playoffs.
We all like Case very much.
He took a lot of hits, didn't he, Allen, yesterday?
What about the one where his legs were like wishboned out and he was like hopping on one leg like that? I was like,
what are we doing? He's taking on Bobby Wagner, and Wagner's hitting him time and time again. I'm like, he's bigger than Wagner, but like it's enough.
They can't run anything that they run with Josh Allen with Case Keenum.
No,
no. Interesting backup in the sense that it is physically diametrically opposite in the NFL.
But that was my concern coming out of that, is when so much of your offense is going through your quarterback, who relies heavily on running the football, leading rusher last night. How much are they going to be able to develop a running back run game and still keep them as dangerous and threatening on offense as they were last night? Because that's what you worry about. Like, Josh is a big guy. He's a physical. He's a tough guy. He's been durable. But at some point, when you're taking hits like that, you're still a quarterback. You're not built like Nick Chubb at the quarterback position. You're comparing him to other quarterbacks in the NFL, which he's bigger, stronger, tougher, more durable. But compared to dudes that are usually running with the football, he's on the light side. And so my concern, if I'm a Buffalo Bill, is yes, we looked amazing, but how are we going to develop a rushing attack that is able to give the running back the football without detracting from what makes Josh Allen great? So picking and choosing those moments where he pulls the football down and runs with it, or the design runs, I think is going to be really important for Ken Dorsey in the future as he continues to mold this offense into his vision.
I think that in a way they approached it kind of like they wanted to be bullies.
Yeah,
like
no
they
doubt.
were kind of
they
like,
wanted to make a statement.
They were into the third, fourth quarter. They were out there saying, "Wait till you get a load of us." I mean, game's done, and they're still approaching it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty emphatic. A couple of things to run by you guys. You guys aware that Stafford has to use a silent count? They hung a at home. They hung a banner. Okay, they've been to the Super Bowl twice since they've been to L.A. Won it in their own home stadium. It's banner raising night on a Thursday. They got the great one doing the intro again. You got Ozzy Osbourne at halftime, and you're telling me that you got to run a silent count in your own barn? God, that's brutal.
Brutal.
That's brutal.
Defending Super Bowl champs.
L.A., baby.
Right? I mean,
I love it.
Now,
Can you imagine
if it was the Raiders, it wouldn't be the case.
No.
But the Rams, it's amazing. Like, they just have no foothold in the market at all.
Imagine what that's going to look like if they start slow. Like,
that's what I'm thinking. Like, if this goes
they're
off the
under
rails with
500
Stafford, they have no
6
picks.
or 7 weeks in. Dude, they're not going to get
By
anybody
the way,
to show up to those games.
First time they've ever been under 500 with Sean McVay.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like,
incredible
come on,
stat.
you have to rub that in.
So you dropped.
I've never won an opener in 11 years. He never lost one.
The other
Streaks are ending.
It's over.
It's a
Sunday.
sign. Let's go.
Sunday, Monday.
They spent $5 billion on the place. No AC.
Yeah, dude, it's hot. We were there last year in like December, and
like a
we had some
greenhouse.
heat like that. It was like a greenhouse.
Brutal.
It was like being in a greenhouse. It was
How's that possible?
over 90
And it's
degrees.
like subterranean. It's
Yeah.
I think they
massive
just
from the top to the
assumed
bottom.
in LA it'll be nice and
What the
comfortable
people
They're not
no matter
in
what
Malibu,
happens.
work
though.
there
It's
call
inland.
that stadium behind the scenes is not for air, but there is no one that enjoys
So crazy.
working
hot.
at that stadium.
Oh,
No, I believe it.
Behind the
it just
scenes.
looked awful. Looked like a swamp, and it just shouldn't have been. And the other thing that jumped out to me, because I a little bit of I too like the Bills. The Bills look beautiful. I don't understand how Nike can't get yellow right. Like they have the Rams in neon yellow. They have the gold yellow on the horns, but then they're neon yellow. They do this with the Lakers too. Like Nike just can't get the yellow right.
Yeah, it's bad.
I don't know how you mismatch that. But there was no. The only thing that was a mismatch, the biggest, was obviously what happened on the field. Real quick.
Do we have 1 second, real quick, Hoff? Just going back to what you were talking about to try to tie in our assessment and analysis of the game last night to our game on Sunday. How big of a difference for our line is it that you're going against Brian Burns without Hassan Reddick versus going against Hassan Reddick, who led the team with 11 sacks, and Brian Burns?
yeah, it's huge because now you can take that and use it to your advantage from a scheme standpoint, right? Because if there's one dog out there, it's very easy to turn the protection in that direction so that you're always guaranteeing at least 3 guys for 2 defensive linemen. When you have guys on both sides, you can't always give that guy a one-on-one because as soon as if I'm Von Miller or Hassan Reddick or one of these stud defensive ends, and I know I got a one-on-one, that means I can go wherever I want. It now becomes one-on-one pass rush from training camp, which is slanted towards the defense's favor in a huge way. That's why you always watch one-on-ones in training camp, and the defense almost always wins because that guy on defense can literally go wherever he wants, and he doesn't have to worry about being hit or running into another player. And so that's why predictability is the enemy of protections on offense, and you get that when you only have one dude that's out there that can rush passer, or you don't get it when you have 2 guys that are out there because now the defense is like, hey, either one of these guys can win the one-on-one. It doesn't matter who gets it.
An update from our roster. Grady Williams placed on injured reserve. He'll miss at least 4 games. So that's where that stands on that.
So
we
then
knew
my
he
guess
was out
would
this
be-
week, so MJ Emerson steps up is what they're saying here.
And Herb, I'm guessing, will get his roster spot.
Yeah.
Herb Miller will go to the active.
Greedy down at least 4 games to start the season. All right, coming up next, a lot of fun here in the final hour. We got some over-unders for you. We have the scores with the Hoff. Lots of joy coming your way. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Sames, I bet. We'll see how that goes. But it is indeed time for over-unders. Last year, over-under champion was who?
Me.
Gibby.
You were in the lead for a
Blasphemy.
long time, and then I came back.
And then I won. I won. I believe in the playoffs. I won.
I don't know. It's not what,
He
not what
who
it
has
says
the
on
pencil
here.
speaks last.
That's not what it says on this. That's not what the spreadsheet says. But I do have the pencil on the spreadsheet.
Easy analytical.
Gibby, are you involved in this? You're involved in this as well because we have season-long stats with you and Zagura.
Correct.
All right,
So
here
yeah,
we go.
so
It's
all
time
three
for
of
me
you
to
are in on
repeat
this.
and walk all over his grave.
All right, here you go. All right, here are your over-unders as cobbled together by me in the break because I forgot we were doing this.
I was wondering if you remembered.
First show of the season. Flying a little blind here. We'll do the best we can. All right, over-under number 1. We will start with the Hoff. He's the newcomer. Chubb and Hunt, total touches, 35.5. Total touches.
That's
Chubb
a
and
great
Hunt.
number, of course. I'm going to go under because I think we're going to see probably a few more targets to the tight end than we think, but it's not going to be under by much because I expect Chubb's going to have around 20 carries. Hunt's going to have 6 to 7, and then he'll probably get a few throws too. So it's going to be under, but not by much.
Under 35.5 is a lot. My goal is to have over 30 touches combined every week, but 35 feels like a lot. Now, would be great. Sure, I'd love it. If that happens, if that goes over, I'll be glad to lose this
Take the L?
over-under because I feel like that's indicative of us winning handily.
Yep. Give it.
Run the damn ball over.
Oh, wow.
Love when
Can
he
you
goes all
imagine
hard right
those
out of
two
the
guys
gate.
getting 40 touches in a game? It's going to be like an NFL record.
All right.
We will throw the ball 12 times.
Over under Jacoby Brissett. Over or under touchdown to interception ratio to Baker Mayfield.
Wow.
Gibbe.
God, I got to do math in my head.
I'm confused by the question.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Touchdown interception
There's
ratio
just
for
a
Brissett.
great potential for a tie in this one.
We'll roll the dice on that.
Okay.
Could be.
We had a
0.5
tie
if that
last year.
happens.
Remember, it was fun.
We did. It's all right.
So
It's
who's going to be better at the end of the game
Yes.
in the touchdown to interception
that's
ratio?
what we're going at.
Brissett.
We got it.
I don't even care. Brissett.
So then-
I'm not giving
so
anybody
greater,
else the time of
greater
day.
for Gibbe. We got to sweep this, don't we?
Same.
Off.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Easy. Next.
Thank you for the easy one.
Next.
Over or
Yeah,
under.
Madison.
Good job out of Madison. Didn't even warn her. Just hit her with a next, and away you go. All right. Over under. Amari, DPJ, and Chief. Over or under DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson receiving yardage. 3 of ours, 2 of theirs. Zagura.
Over. Us. I'm
Over
taking
us.
R3.
Over
I was
us,
like,
yes.
over who?
R3.
Who's over?
R3. Browns.
R3.
Cooper,
Browns.
DPJ, and Chief.
Greater than
Greater
Moore and
than.
Anderson combined receiving yards.
Yep.
Hoff?
I'm going with Carolina because we're going to have the lead in the second half, and we're going to be handing the football off a good bit more. And just like Kirk Cousins was the man in fantasy football because he was always behind in the fourth quarter, and he got a lot of easy throws down the field. That's what we're going to see on Sunday.
Let's not forget Christian McCaffrey averages 6.2 receptions a game for his career half. So how many balls are there for Robbie Anderson?
Not with JOK on the field, he doesn't.
Oh, baby.
Give it.
Under, because we're going to run the ball 40 times.
I like it.
Let's
He's
go.
consistent. At least he's consistent.
Oh,
Sometimes I'm not. There's definitely a chance I'm not.
this could be a 4-0.
Over or under.
Sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. Gibby's
got it.
favorite.
Stupid.
I don't think he's ever gotten this one right.
Never.
Ever.
Hold
Never.
on.
In
Remember,
years.
hold on.
Never.
For clarification, because of
Fumbles recovered.
sacks
turnovers.
plus turnovers.
Yeah, but I like doing it this way.
Takeaways. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking
It's what
about.
it is.
Sacks
yes.
plus
Sacks
takeaways.
plus turnovers. Yeah. The number against former quarterback Baker Mayfield, sacks and turnovers combined, and the Carolina offense, it's big. 5.5. You wanted 4.5. So
I
bad.
did
know
so
you
bad.
did.
4.5 is a lot. Pound it.
Is this me first?
Yep. Give it.
Bless it.
Got to get 6. A combination of 6. Turnovers and sacks.
Yeah, over.
God, I love it. I love
I'm starting to
Chesty
get a little
Gibbe.
momentum going
Yeah,
here.
I like it. I
like
like Chesty Gibbe a lot.
Chesty Gibbe.
Chesty
No.
Gibbe. Let's go. I love it. Z.
Starting to get a little momentum.
Over. I
Atta
think
boy.
Myles Garrett, something to keep in mind, folks. Put in the back of the old noodle. Myles Garrett is 4 sacks away from setting the franchise record for most sacks by a Cleveland Brown ever. He is at 58.5. The record 62 from Clay Matthews. And boy, given what we've learned about Textgate, perhaps he would like to do that, break the record by sacking Baker Mayfield. And we've already heard that Ike Mekwanu's weaknesses are Myles' strengths. So maybe we just do it on sacks alone.
6 sacks, period. That would do it.
Wow. Myles.
That would
It's
really
a
be
big number,
something.
5.5. Hoff?
Yeah, I'm going same because for all those reasons that the Big Z mentioned, but also because Ben McAdoo's offense is kind of the old school drop back, throw the football, just try to hold up at my tackle position, which is not a great situation to be in when you got Myles Garrett out there rushing the quarterback with a little bit extra motivation on Sunday.
Finally, next.
Over or under?
The actual 41.5, Hoff. 41.5.
I'm going under, especially when you consider the inclement weather potential. Like 41.5 is a lot of points, especially if we expect it to be somewhat of a close game. Usually it doesn't get up there unless one side or the other has kind of run away with it early on, and then the other team is just throwing big chunk plays to catch
I
up.
thought you were giving him a wave right there when you pointed out there. It was great. You waved back at you, and then you realized
good friends.
Maybe it wasn't a wave.
Yeah, good friends out there.
Z, 41.5.
Gibbe, what is 23 plus 17?
40.
Under.
Give it.
Public school education. Look at that. At its finest. I'm going under as well.
All right.
Ooh, all right, so the differentiators are
There's
A
several.
lot, I
There's a
feel
few.
like.
there's
a lot between you and Gibbe.
it's just 2. It's just the first one
just 2, and then
the receiving.
Hoff is just one off of Gibbe, so we'll see how it goes. Well, we'll have to get Hoff's. Maybe we'll do Hoff's via text or something. From
Well,
here on
Hoff
out.
is going to join
I'll be
us
here on
Monday.
Monday.
No, but every
No,
week
but
for
every
over
week.
under.
Oh, I see what you're
to
saying.
see
Yeah.
a year-long
For sure.
competition and see
Be
where it
happy
all
to
is.
enjoy
All right.
involved.
All right, we've got
Loser smokes meats for the others.
Oh,
Wasn't sure where you were going there. Pause.
be fun to do that in Wisconsin, out on the farm.
I got a good
With
offset
his own
smoker.
farm.
With fresh brown spotteds of
Yeah,
the
baby.
Hoff.
Oh my gosh, poor Charlie.
My own spotteds
That's right.
in my own offset smoker. Pure joy.
Our keys to victory coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk & Elk's serious lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. You might want to call this the winning mix. Here are your keys to victory. Dr. Z.
Look, it's pretty simple, right? This is a game where you do want to get out to a fast start. I think that we all know, as we were just talking about, Baker Mayfield, if he gets going, can be very, very effective. You know, in his wins, and I've given this stat a couple times now, I'll do it again. In his wins, 52 touchdowns, 15 picks. In his losses, 41 picks, 40 touchdowns. You've got to get after him early. Last year, he was 33rd in the NFL against pressure, 41% completions. And he's a guy that when you do get your own pressure, he tends to turn those into sacks at a higher rate than just about any quarterback in the NFL, even in 2020. And that was behind a great line. So we should be able to get pressure on him, and I think that will be key. Last year, the Panthers didn't win a game in which their opponent scored 15 points. I do think they'll be a better offense this year, but I think for us, getting to 20 points is probably a good number. Like, if we're in the 20s, there's a good chance that we're going to win this game. And so I think that is something that is very, very important for us. Don't give them short fields. Make them work for everything that they've got. Don't give up anything over your head, because I think we're going to win more often than not, and all we have to do is get them into 1 3rd and long, 2 3rd and longs on a drive. Chances are we're going to be able to make a play.
Hoff?
I like everything he said. I'm going to highlight the start fast thing, right? Because for the Browns, we don't really know what this offense looks like with Jacoby Brissett. We think we do, but a good first drive, a good first quarter would do a lot for building confidence and building hope within this entire team that this offense can be really, really good in the NFL. Same thing on the other side of the ball. The Carolina Panthers don't really know what Baker Mayfield is under the lights when every pressure is on him and you've got the full complement of offensive players. And so if they start fast, it's going to build their confidence exponentially in the same way as if they don't start fast. Now the pressure gets ratcheted up on them, and we've seen since Baker was here, like when things are going well, he can play really well. If things go bad, he can get into his head big time, and all of a sudden the guys that are running wide open, he's not seeing them, and the guys that are covered, he's throwing it to those covered guys. So starting fast, I think, is always one of those cliches that coaches talk about, but never has it been more important than this week.
It feels like two guys from a – I think oftentimes what you want an AFC North or an NFC North team to be is, bullies. You want to be bullies. We should be bullies. We're more physical than them. We're better up front, both sides of the ball. Defensively, we will smack you in the mouth at all 3 levels. We have the best running back room in the damn league. Go act accordingly and run it right at them. I'm not sure their corners can tackle Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson, Ford if it comes to that. I'm not sure the DNs can. So to me, like this, sometimes it's just simple. Sometimes we're bigger, faster, and stronger. Go do it.
Dante Jackson, one of their starting corners last year, was top 5 in the NFL in missed tackles at his position. He is somebody that you can run at. And just to kind of throw out from a size standpoint, okay, and when they play that 5-man front, the 5th guy that comes down on the line is Frankie Louvu. He's 235. Gross-Matos, 260. Ioannidis, who I'm sure from time in Washington, he's more of a pass rusher interior type of a guy. He's a 300-pounder. Derek Brown's big from Auburn, 320, and then Burns is 250. Our line is going to be, Jed's 310, Batonio's 320, Ethan Posick, and I don't know if have you talked to him?
A little bit, briefly.
He's the biggest center I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's 6'6", 320.
Yeah.
You got Wyatt at 320. You've got whether it's Jack or it ends up being James Hudson. Those guys are over 300. We have, I think, a massive size advantage, and the Chief with his blocking and what he's been able to do. I do think we should control the line of scrimmage. I think we can make a statement early by saying you can't stop us until you start bringing 8 guys in the box. And with Jacoby and with Amari, we've got to be able to beat that. That was the Achilles heel last year. We could not beat teams putting 8 and sometimes it felt like 9 guys in the box saying, please throw it, please. We couldn't beat it. We need to bully them into that submission and then take advantage of that. And I think our opportunity to use Chief with Harrison Bryant in this game, the tight ends, I love the matchups of our tight ends against their linebackers in coverage, and I think we have an opportunity to really bully them and then hit nice plays to our tight ends out of those looks.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just football, right? It's just, we're bigger, we're stronger, we're faster. Go do it. That's kind of where you're at. You could call that your keys to victory. You could call it the winning mix. Both things would be appropriate, see?
Yes.
You maybe did 2 things with one there.
Stevie!
Transcript.
Let's go. Transcript. Is he on it? Transcript?
Browns players watch game film to prepare. Finding your dream home is no different, and Cross Country Mortgage is the partner that's prepped to put you in position to win. Reach out today at ccm.com. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS 3029.
I
Yes?
don't know that he understands the role of Steve. I think
he understands. I just told him not to accept it.
I feel like he thinks that he's only Gibbe.
I think that's a
I
fact.
offered to buy you Chipotle today, brother.
Yeah, he feels like that's where the bread's buttered, is with the head honcho there.
Is this how it always works on CBD, that your executive producer is subverting
Yes.
your ability
on
to
this
do your
program,
job?
100%.
You guys are pulling the boat in different directions here.
There's no doubt that why he's the hop. He used to have
one of the
this show.
smartest humans to ever play the game.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take him
Just
long to
identified
diagnose
it.
it. It's just
Yep.
like he walked up and saw
Nailed
that
it.
T-Sizzle was going to try to go around the corner.
Unbelievable.
Not going to happen. Yeah, he saw it right away. He used to have the show, the BPA, that he prioritized over CBD.
Never.
And
Never.
For no benefit of his own. Like, I understand if a man is operating his own best interests to poo-poo whatever you're trying to get done, but he's not even operating in the best interest of CBD as a whole, or himself.
Like, he's self-sabotage.
Just so we're clear, Stevie didn't agree to do this. You did. You pick up the pieces, and you clean up your mess.
So Stevie agreed to do everything that you tell him to do?
Should.
See? This is where you're at.
The logic that we're able to just, the battles that we expose, the flaws
I'm
of
going
the
to tell
logic,
you,
it's great.
What the Hoff just did to identify the inner workings of this show
He's a brilliant
is
man.
akin to him breaking down what he would do, one of the most famous episodes of the history of the show, breaking down your process on every snap. That was very similar to that. More genius coming up, the scores. But you got to pay attention. Week 1, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Recycling, family owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer, as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit Rumpke.com to learn more. The Hoff will join us here momentarily. I think
he's upset. I think he needed to take a walk.
Get some air.
He needed to
get
some
take
air.
The air.
Did you have to take a walk after that nonsense?
No, he almost took me out. He almost spilled hot coffee all over
steam after hearing
Hold on a second.
what Gibbe was trying to do to this program. An official team member.
He's got a
It's official. I had to get it. I was worried. Security's tough around here. I thought they were going to throw me out if I didn't walk around
Most
with
famous
the
player
necklace.
we've had around 50 years, and he's walking around with it. This is who I am. Look how happy
right.
you are.
What,
you look
what
great.
a photo there. That was like right after retirement there. Looking like a bozo with a goofy swoop
I think
haircut.
this should just say Hoff.
Hoff.
That's all that should say.
Yes.
All right. Scores, Gibbe. Go.
Time? Oh, here we go.
Oh,
I guess you're 1-0 after last night. I don't know.
we are.
According
That's
to you
how
guys,
Thursday
you
nights
are.
go.
do the opposite. Everybody knows it.
Those
Until
who
next
know
week
it.
when you do the opposite and you get snake bitten for it. But that's fine.
Don't fight fights that haven't needed to be fought yet, Gibbe.
That's
Uh-huh.
right.
All right.
You know what's amazing to me here?
Oh,
as
God,
we sit
here we
here right
go.
now, you have
Here
three
comes another sob story from Nathan Segura.
unbelievable gentlemen in this room.
That's
right
correct.
Here,
I don't have a problem.
who have worked at their various trades very hard and who have achieved things, who
totally debatable.
see something special in young Stevie and
Yeah.
say, you know what? Here's an opportunity for him to do something that will better his life going forward.
And
you
makes
have
Segura's
this
life
curmudgeon-
easier so he can leave
Oh,
at
what
3:30.
a great word. I love the word curmudgeon.
This curmudgeon
It
who
describes
doesn't
Gibbe so perfectly.
who is more interested in trying to increase my inconvenience than he is to help Stevie's future. That
My
he
goal
would,
is simply to make your life difficult, and I
Yes, we're
excel at
seeing
that
it
daily.
We've drilled down to the
how does that
core of
benefit
it.
you other than perverse enjoyment?
It
fact,
makes me
there's
totally
nobody-
happy.
There's nobody you work more
it.
with than Z. You spend the most.
I
Your
know.
guys' successes are tied.
I
And
know.
then he'll text me and be like, "Hey, could you help me out right here? I really need you." I'm always like, "Yeah, okay."
In the old
for
BPA
you.
days.
Yeah, and then now it's like,
I
right, come
acknowledge,
in and fly in and carry the
acknowledge
show,
when he
Clooney.
over-delivers. However, this isn't on my watch. This is the writing portion of the program.
And by
this
the
is
way,
radio.
though, this is a
right.
portion of the program
Walk
that you
down
don't
the
care
hall.
about at all.
Talk to the writers.
All right.
There aren't writers.
Gibbe,
That's the problem.
I feel like you got to go, or we're not going to have a chance.
We have 13 games.
I think
in
he's got to go.
16
You're
minutes
exactly right.
and
He's got to
dot
go.
call.
We'll run the show.
He's got to go.
You run nothing, Segura. First up, Ravens, Jets, Lamar Jackson. Going to bet on himself here in 2022. Joe Flacco, the start for the Jets. It is in New York. Bishop, I will start with you.
Could be in Jupiter. Wouldn't make a difference. Joe Flacco for the Jets, not going to go well. Ravens come out big in this one. I like the Ravens 34, Jets 17.
Joe Thomas.
Ravens 14, Jets 3.
Segura.
Why aren't we talking about Joe Flacco's revenge game like we're talking about Baker Mayfield? We're talking about Russell Wilson, and this one is being completely overlooked. I'm going to tell you something. The Jets have overhauled their team.
Oh, boy.
They are ready to go. Ravens 88, Jets 85.
Oh.
Next up, the Houston Texans playing host to Matt Ryan and the Indianapolis Colts. The Matt Ryan era or season begins Sunday for Indianapolis. Colts, Texans. Hoff, lead us off.
Colts 21, Texans 7, and it's the Matt Ryan effect, right? Old veteran quarterbacks, they're a lot quicker to be up to speed with their offense, on the same page with those guys, and so typically they start the season a lot quicker than teams that have younger quarterbacks.
I just like the commentary that's coming out of Indy. Like the receivers like, oh, yeah, he wants us to run our routes at the same depth every time and be in the same spot. And they're like, it's so crazy how much better we are when we're that precise in everything we're doing. Crazy. Hilarious. I think they smoke them. Houston, I've been saying it for weeks. You're over here on this Davis Mills bandwagon. I'm like, the Texans are tanking, bro. The tank starts. Indy, 80. Texans, 0.
Oh.
I like Indy big. I like him to win the division as well.
Here we go. Here we go. Davis Mills truther. Here we go. Davis Mills. Here we go.
It's a lot. I like the Colts winning this one big. 21 to 15.
Oh, baby. See what you did there. If you pay attention.
Game number 3 coming your way on Sunday. Jacksonville, new coach. Can't be any worse than Urban Meyer, can it? Jacksonville traveling to Washington to battle I don't even know. I don't even want to call them the Commanders. I think it's ridiculous.
The Commies.
The
yes.
Commies?
Unbelievable. What else would it be?
I think we'll end up in a meeting.
That's amazing.
Here. Why? That's how I would shorten it.
That's what PFT calls them.
The Commies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Zagura, lead us off.
Anders? I mean, no. I'm big on the Jags. Trevor Lawrence unleashed. No more Urban. Doug Peterson. Oh, baby. Jags outright 17. Commanders 12.
This was, I want to say that this has moved 1.5 points in a day
to
this. It was even more. It was -4. I want to say.
Jeez.
For the Commies on this one.
Can we take that? I'll take that.
I'll take that
Yeah.
too.
I'd like that.
But either way, I think outright. I feel outright. Jacksonville. I think they can make a real move in the AFC South this year. I think it's too hard in the AFC. If they were in the NFC, maybe even talking about them for a playoff team. I like their weapons. I like Jacksonville winning outright in this one by a score of 9-2.
Samesies for me. I like 1-0 Jaguars over Commies.
Yes.
And I'm quietly on the bandwagon for the Jaguars this year.
Yep.
And it's not quite a bandwagon. Maybe it's like a band cart at this point. But I really like that Trevor Lawrence combination with Doug Peterson. I think you're going to see what a difference quality NFL coaches make within the development of a young quarterback that has a lot of talent and a team that you look across the board, they've got some nice pieces on that Jaguars team.
Stevie can come on our cart. Not this guy. No room for you.
It's okay. I'm my own party.
It's a 2-man cart.
It's really all right. All right, up next. I don't know. You want to talk about what you're not sure you're going to get on Sunday? I have no idea what New England Patriots team going to show up. And I definitely have no idea what Miami Dolphins team is going to show up. Dolphins playing host to New England down in South Beach. What could go wrong? Bo Bishop, lead us off.
Well, I'll tell you what could go wrong. I mean, I just think everything Belichick has done in the draft has gone wrong. And you just look at the two teams, it's really not close. I think the only reason this number is what it is because of the respect for what's on the side of the helmet. There's really no argument that you can make other than, Belichick's defensive genius. But it's been a minute. Miami got him twice last year. Now they got a genius guy calling plays. They've added Tyreek Hill, all the weapons. I like the Dolphins big in this one. Dolphins 99, Pats 7.
Joe Thomas.
Oh, boy. I like the Dolphins in this one as well. I think that the addition of Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel, I think it's going to bring out the best of Tua. I think he still is a little bit limited, but he's going to be good enough to be able to beat a Patriots team that just does not have the talent for all the things that you mentioned. Belichick, the greatest developer of talent of all time, but one of the worst identifiers of talent coming out of the draft. And I think they're in for a tough year, even though, I don't know if you guys heard this, they went down to Miami on Tuesday to try to get acclimated because
I don't understand.
The Patriots have always been so bad going down to that heat in Miami from Foxborough. So he said, I don't care. I'm going. We're going early. We're getting used to this heat. We're going to just make it miserable.
I think he's
free trip on Kraft.
Yeah. Let's go down to Florida.
Yeah, he's always been a guy that really likes to squeeze every drop of vacation out of his life that he can.
Right, he's flipped.
By the way, largest discrepancy in career wins between two head coaches ever in this game. Belichick and Mike. It's true. Belichick and Mike McDaniel.
That's a nice
dynamite. And I love Mike. He's going to be great.
Zagura, do you have a score?
Miami, huge.
Up next, NFC South. Atlanta hosting Nolans. Jameis and Dr. Jameis, based on the video I saw of him the other day trying to explain the human body, which was entertaining. Nice little wide receiver core, nice offense. Atlanta tanking for next year. Joe Thomas, lead us off.
This one's easy. This one should be at least a touchdown. The Saints, they're going to blow them out. It's going to be like 150-0.
That's right.
Zagura?
I'm going to set a scene for you.
Oh, here we go. This is why we don't get anything done.
Set a scene for you.
This is why he doesn't have time to do any.
Don't harness an artist.
Too many scenes.
We're in the Georgia Dome. It's 22-10. There's about 90 seconds left in the game. The Saints have this one well in hand. And all of a sudden, this is what I hear.
Oh, who's there? Bootsy, who's at the door, Bootsy?
Answer the door, kids.
It's Kyle Pitts at the back door with the last-second garbage touchdown, 22-17, Saints.
Wow.
This one moved, too. This one moved 1.5 points down. It was the Saints were 7. It went to 5.5. So that's where that goes a little bit. I tend to be with Hoff, though, and the Saints are really good. Everywhere else, if Jameis just needs to be decent, and they would be fine. And the Falcons, they don't want to win. That's not the objective. So I don't think they will. I think the Saints win this one by 7. I'm with you on this one, Hop.
Yeah, as long as Jameis isn't Secret Santa with interceptions, they're going to win this one going away.
They should, yeah.
Being up 12 with 90 seconds is a nice place to
think
be.
about Michael Thomas, Jarvis, and Chris Olave.
Yeah. Plus Kamara.
Jeez.
Up next. What?
I want you to come to me for this one.
Oh, you want this one
Yeah, I want
first?
this one.
I think it actually is you anyways.
Yeah, good.
It is,
yeah.
Two teams. Could be playing for this game. You could look down the line in a couple months and go, this one actually meant more than maybe we thought it might. Philly, traveling to the home of Kneecap City, Detroit, playing host to Philly. Zagura.
These are two Cleveland Browns daily favorites, man.
They are.
And I know you guys have seen it, man. We've seen the vision, man, of where we're going to go, man. And I'm telling you right now, we just got to knock the dust of that losing off, man. And we're going to be just fine. But the only problem, man, is these guys picked Sirianni to be the coach of the year, man. And that Philly team's pretty good, man. So we can and we will lose by double digits in this one.
My
Sorry,
God.
man. Philadelphia fly, Eagles fly 32. Wow. Leones a plucky 18.
Bishop.
Eagles win. 23-20, last second field goal. Heartbreak in Big D. Heartbreak.
Joe Thomas.
I like the Eagles big in this one also. And maybe it's the bias from seeing them live and in person during training camp.
They're impressive, man.
I really like that Jalen Hurts too. I think this is a really good team. And there's some people that are saying the Eagles could be a contender for the Super Bowl in the NFC. And I'm kind of one of those guys. I really love this Sirianni-led team right now. So I got them 21-zip.
Oh, my God.
Dan Campbell.
If he gets routed, you're done.
Dan Campbell, under
It's
truth
over.
serum,
Done.
would rather be the
Emperor's
coach of the
wearing no
Eagles
clothes.
maybe than any other team in the league.
Yeah.
Because he could just abuse people with that offensive line.
Yeah.
Man, I could just get behind those hosses, man, and we just run that ball, man.
Excited.
Up next, a big tilt in the AFC North. It's the Mitchell Trubisky era beginning in Pukersville. The Pittsburgh Squealers heading to Bengal country to battle the AFC champions.
That's right.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati playing host to the Pukers. Bishop.
This is just like the Patriots one for me. Like, you look at the helmet and you feel like it should be something that it's not. I don't know how they cover Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. I don't understand it. If you look at their corners, how's that happening? How are they going to protect Trubisky? He can run. It's be better than Ben. I like the Bengals huge in this one. 81-0.
Joe Thomas.
Wow. I think the Steelers, what they do best is they're honest with themselves and they realize they're just not that good of a team compared to the Bengals. However, when you're not that good of a team compared to the opponent across from you, you play a very conservative brand of football to try to keep it close and just get lucky down the stretch. So I think Bengals win, but I think the Steelers cover. So I think they win 5-0.
Pay attention to the score.
Segura.
So I don't know how any sane person could go into this game and go to the window and say, I'm going to give you my money that I've earned, and I'd like the Steelers. I just don't see how a sane person can do that. Thus, Bengals 30, Steelers 24.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
Final 1
Seems
o'clock.
insane.
Wow.
Final 1 o'clock game of the day, and it might be the worst team in the NFL. The Chicago Bears playing host to the Kyle Shanahan-led San Francisco 49ers. Kyle, congratulations on being off the hot seat here in 2022.
For the record,
Joe Thomas.
Gibbe put Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat last year. They went to the NFC Championship.
Hold on. Joe, I put him on the hot seat, and 6 games into the year, Mike Florio goes, I think Kyle Shanahan should be on the hot seat. I was like,
If you want to align
there we go. BFT,
So
let's
because
go.
Florio said it, it's true.
If you're aligning yourself with
aligning
Florio,
himself with
then
Florio.
you've said all you need to say.
Hold on. Like, I was not the only one saying that after a month and a half into the season.
He
It
took
might be
Jimmy
Connor,
Garoppolo
Stevie. You keep this up.
to the
Unholy
edge of a
alliance.
Super Bowl ring.
That's fine.
right. Unholy alliance there.
Joe Thomas, lead us.
Yeah, I like the 49ers big. I know Trey Lance, there's been a lot of question marks about his performance so far in training camp, but he's going against a bad Bears team. They just don't have as much talent. They're not going to be able to keep up with that rushing attack, no matter what Trey Lance does on offense.
Bears should have, or 49ers should have drafted the guys that they're playing.
Nate, there's a lot of unrest. Nate, everybody says Trey Lance isn't happy about Jimmy G being back, Nate. It's messing with his mind. Nate. Spumoni.
Niners, ram it.
Bishop.
Same. 9-2.
To the 425 games we go. A big tilt in the NFC Norris division. Minnesota playing host to the Packers. The Cheeseheads head north. Zagura, lead us off. Interesting little game here.
The beginning of the Kevin O'Connell era. Close line. Very narrow.
Odd, considering the King of the North continues to quarterback the Packers.
And they just win 13 games every single year.
Every
and when it's
year.
narrow like this, boy, Packers 97, and they just own the Vikings. Kirk Cousins 96.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Same,
That?
but
Really?
different. Packers by 90.
Yeah, Packers by 100 for me. There's no way that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be already in midseason form.
Who's he
because
throwing it to?
It doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
Like, Aaron Rodgers is the
It
best
doesn't
regular season
matter who he's
quarterback that
throwing
we've
it to.
ever seen. It doesn't matter. He's running the same offense with not the same set of receivers because obviously he's down Devontae Adams, but it doesn't matter with what he does. And going against the Vikings team, I know Kevin O'Connell's there. It's Kirk Cousins. It's going to take them a while to figure each other out before they're going to be competitive against some of the best teams in their conference.
Let me tell you something right now. I don't have any personal experience, brother, but I hear ayahuasca is a heck of an experience. And when you're sitting in a hut somewhere in Latin America, vomiting all over yourself for 4 days and
Oh,
hallucinating,
God.
it's got to affect your brain, I think, in the long run, and that's going to be the difference.
But not his arm.
We got 4 games. We got 2 minutes. Go time. Kansas City, Arizona, and Cliff Kingsbury. Welcome to Gibbs's hot seat in 2022. Bishop.
Mahomes, big. 49. Cards, 41.
Joe Thomas.
I like Mahomes 30, Cardinals 20.
Zagura.
Ram it.
Next, from Los Angeles, the Chargers playing host to the Las Vegas Raiders, a rematch of Week 18
In which
from last year.
The Raiders came out on top.
Road game for the Chargers.
Yeah, it will be a road game for the
Yeah.
Chargers.
So
Joe
what
Thomas.
they're saying here is that the Raiders are 6.5 points less than the Chargers if you buy into the road home thing.
Yes. Joe Thomas.
I like the Raiders to win this game. Not only are they going to cover, but they're going to win. I think the Josh McDaniels, Derek Carr synergy that they're going to put out there is going to be supreme. And what has the Patriots gurus always been really good at? Like very good game plan specific schemes. I think they're going to do a great job early on in this first game of the year against the Chargers. Justin Herbert, I like the matchup.
So J.C. Jackson is not supposed to play, and that, I think, is a big loss for the Chargers in this one. You've got Chandler Jones and Crosby, great tandem. Khalil Mack and Bosa on the other side, great tandem. Which line holds up? I think this is going to be a barn burner. Get all your fantasy guys in there. Chargers, my Super Bowl pick, the Chargers, 78. Derek Carr, Devontae.
Bo Bishop. We got 30 seconds here. We got to get
Same.
2 games in.
Same.
Who did you pick?
He picked Raiders.
Yeah.
So we all did.
G-Men taking on the Titans.
Boring.
In Tennessee. Zagura.
Boring. I don't care. Nobody.
Inmate game of the week.
Interesting strategy.
Bishop.
This one is for 2.
G-Men.
G-Men to cover the 5.5.
Oh, or,
I
Joe
got
Thomas.
Titans.
All right.
Final one, Sunday Night Foosball.
Who would ever pick the Cowboys against the Bucks?
Dallas.
Ever.
Tampa
Nobody
Bay.
would.
Nobody.
Nobody would.
Not a person.
Cowboys 7. Bucks 5.
Oh,
Outright.
Nobody's picking the Cowboys. Nobody.
not this guy. Bucks 50.
The
Cowboys 4.
Tom Brady needs to silence page 6 right now.
Oh,
Turmoil
boy.
in the home.
Man.
It's going to go one of 2 ways. Does he lock himself in a silo and put up 80? I say he does.
Yeah.
80, 40 Bucks.
So much more to come, including our score. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns, Panthers, Hoff, how do you see it?
Browns win this one. It's going to be a low-scoring event because of the weather, but I see the Browns by about 8 points.
Oh, baby. 23-17. Browns. We'll talk to you on Victory Monday. What do you say, though?
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. By God, please.
Let's get this
thing done.
There's no other way.
No other options.
No other options.
18-2. Nick Chubb, 47 carries, 317
30.
yards. Let's go. Enjoy your football weekend, kids. We're back on Monday to break it all down. The Hoff will be here again on Monday.
Oh,
what
baby.
A wonderful treat that is.
That's a treat for me.
The next level is coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Hopefully.